Hey, what is up? Matt from Surplus Trader Secrets. Very big subject today on how to avoid getting scammed in business, especially when you're doing business online. And I notice a lot of people these days are getting scammed all the time. And I see and read it a lot on LinkedIn, on Facebook. Years ago, it used to be more a case of customers not paying the suppliers, and obviously that does still happen. But what we're finding nowadays, the last few years, is the scammers are basically suppliers of the goods who say they're going to supply you, and you end up not getting your stock. They end up disappearing on you. It's very normal in our business to pay pro forma for goods. Very, very standard in our industry. You know, we're used to paying for goods up front before we receive the goods or before we collect the goods. I'm just seeing and hearing so much about people being scammed. It's an awful thing that someone can actually go about their business scamming people, and that's what they just do. And they just might come across as very legitimate as well, which is really scary, because genuinely you get companies that look really, really legit. They are out to scam you. So what I'm going to do today is I'm going to give you some good pointers and precautions to take to actually avoid getting scammed in today's marketplace. You've got to do your background checks. You've done a deal on some goods and you're going to be paying up front for those goods. You need to be doing some really, really stringent background checks. Due diligence, do your due diligence. You need to check out that company that you're buying off. What I normally do is I send a supplier application. If I've done a deal with someone for the first time, I'm sending them out an application form. Very one-page, simple application form. And I just want their business name. I want their business address. I want their phone number, I want their website name, email address, I want the contact details of that person, mobile phone number, email address, and I want the company registration number, I want their VAT number, and I want details of where the goods are stored. The goods that I've agreed to do a deal on, I want the details of where those goods are. Most of the time it's going to be a third-party storage. It might be their own storage. If it's a third-party storage, I want to know that company store. I want the storage company name and address and phone number. I want a contact name there. I want details of that storage. I want to basically know, in my mind, that those goods are in that storage. That's a good precaution to take, knowing exactly where the goods are. But I still want to deep dive further into that as well. I want to be in contact with someone at that storage, and I want to have a conversation with them. I want to know that those goods in that storage belong to that company that I'm buying off. Okay, I want to know that company that sold me those goods, it's their goods and it's in that storage. Okay, I want that confirming first. So I want to know, do they own those goods? Because you get a lot of traders or companies that will sell you those goods, but they don't own the goods, you see. They don't own the goods. They might have sold you those goods and they're dealing directly with the owner of those goods. Okay, fair enough, that's fine. But you want to basically know that at the point of you paying for those goods, you want to know who owns those goods. Okay, now if the trader doesn't own those goods that sold them to you, then you want to basically be taking some precautions. What if you've paid for those goods, but the trader that you're buying off doesn't pay their supplier for the goods? So they take your money, but they don't pay for the goods. You're now in the position where you paid for the goods, but you're not allowed to collect them because the trader that you bought them off has not paid for the goods from the actual stock owner. Okay, does that make sense? So although you might have done a deal on those goods, the person you've done a deal with might not own those goods. So yeah, that's one thing you've got to be careful about, that you've got to have knowledge on. You've got to make sure that you make contact with the storage where those physical goods are that you've done a deal on. And you want to know who owns those goods. Is it that company? Is it that company that you've done the deal with? Or is it another company? Okay? Don't assume that those goods belong to that company that you've done the deal with. That's how you can possibly get caught out sometimes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some things to think about where, for me anyway, alarm bells will start ringing. Alarm bells will start ringing. I'll start getting a little bit suspicious for these reasons, okay? When I'm checking companies out or people. Okay, this is really, really important, guys, and I want you to understand these as well. So, first thing, obviously, when they sent you the applicate business form back with all the company details, that company name you want to Google, okay? You want to Google their company name. Have a look at the information that comes up on the search results on Google. Is there a lot of information on that company? If they are a reputable company, and legitimate company, there should be a fair bit of information on that company, as well as there being their own website. They should have a lot of presence online. You know, there should be in various directories in their industry. There should be on LinkedIn, 100%. They should probably have a company page on Facebook these days, or Instagram. But you will see, normally, for a legitimate company, when you Google that company name, you'll normally get pages and pages of search results. You know, you'll get other company details, register details. There might be news articles on that company. There might be various information on people that work for that company as well. You know, there'll just be a lot of information you'll find. To me, straight away, that is like thumbs up. That's like they are legit. You know, there's a lot of results on that company. If you search that company name and there's just very little results, maybe just their website, but nothing else, to me, alarm bells will start ringing. If they've just got a website, but they're not present anywhere else online, maybe they are a registered company and they've got a website, but to me, there should be more presence. They should have more presence online. So the person that you've done the deal with, you want to be Googling them and the company name. See if they're present online to do with that company. Are they on LinkedIn? Now, anyone who is legit in business, they should be on LinkedIn. If someone I'm doing business with isn't on LinkedIn, today in 2019, if that person is not present on LinkedIn, alarm bells will start ringing. 500 million people on LinkedIn, and if that person for that company is not on LinkedIn, then I will probably get suspicious. They can't prove that they own the goods. Now you're probably asking, how do they prove they own the goods? Well, there's a couple of methods. Obviously, you can speak to someone at that storage and say, can you put in writing that this company owns those goods that are being stored there? Okay, you want something in writing from that storage company that their clients, who you've done the deal with, own those goods. Another thing I ask for as well from the company I'm dealing with is a sanitized invoice of proof that they own the goods. So it's basically you're asking them for an invoice from when they bought those goods. Okay, so if they bought those goods in from a importer or a factory or whoever, they will have the invoice. So you don't want their supplier details or their original costs, or it doesn't matter. You want a sanitized invoice. They can cover up the private information. All you need to see is the description of those goods to that company. Okay, which proves that they purchased those goods. That's pretty good proof as well. So, business address as well. I normally Google the business address that they give me. Normally, a lot of companies who are reputable have proper offices, maybe their own warehouse or whatever, but there'll be a reputable company. What you will find sometimes, which might get alarm bells ringing again is you might Google the address and it comes up as a virtual office address. It's a virtual office address. It's just they've just registered their company at this virtual address. It's not an actual real address. It's a real address, but they're not actually based there or anything. It just looks good on their business details that they are based at this address. It might be just virtual offices. Ring the actual business number. Ring the company number. Generally, 99 times out of 100, if you ring a business number, a receptionist will answer. To me, if a receptionist answers at a business, definite, legit. You can also see if you can get references, like ask the question, okay, I'm going to do some business with you for the first time and pay you up front. I want some references on who you've dealt with, okay? I want some company names, contact names of people that you've done business with. So I can ring them up, and I will check those people out on LinkedIn as well, see if they are proper legitimate companies as well. The main thing for me is if I'm paying up front for goods, I want to know who owns the goods and where the goods are, okay? Now, if it comes down to it and I'm just have any type of gut feeling in my stomach whatsoever, if you just have an ounce of suspicion whatsoever, then never ever pay up front for goods. It doesn't even matter what proof they give to you, because I'll tell you what, there's some good scammers out there that can give you all the proof that you want. You know, if you've got an ounce of suspicion, then basically you want to be saying, look, I will pay you on delivery. You deliver me the goods and then I'll pay you. Or turn up at the actual warehouse where the goods are with a truck. Say, I'll turn up with a truck, check the goods, pay you, and then you load the goods. Okay? So there are two methods of payment as opposed to paying up front. Well, it is paying up front, but you are paying on delivery. So you see the truck turn up and you open the truck doors and you can see the physical stock that you've bought. And then you pay, and then they unload. Or you turn up with a truck at the warehouse, check the goods, then pay, and then get the goods loaded. You want to be doing a lot of background checks. You know, most important thing of all is you want to do your checks on that stock, that inventory that you're buying. Exactly where is that stock? Who owns that stock? And you want proof of who owns that stock. You want actual proof in writing from the storage company or a sanitized invoice from the company that you're buying off. You just want to be doing some really stringent checks. But never pay up front for goods that you've never physically seen, or you've got no proof that that company owns those goods, or there's no presence online on that person or that company. You know, there's a lot of obvious things that, you know, can trigger alarm bells, make you think, right, I'm a little bit suspicious of this person. Do not pay up front for goods, ever. Do not pay up front for goods, ever, unless you have all the relevant information that makes you 100% happy that, you know, that person and that company you're doing business with is 100% legit, guys. So that's my video on how to avoid getting scammed in 2019, and I'm telling you now, just do some of these methods that I've taught you and you will be fine. Just be careful, that's all I'm saying. Just be careful. Don't make that mistake of paying up front for goods without doing all these checks that I've given you guys. I will catch you guys very, very soon. See you guys.